Hi all, this is Steph Giordano with Human Services Research Institute. Welcome to your bonus training for the NCI AD 2018-19 data collection cycle. We're going to just take a look at the person-centered planning module, which covers a few additional questions that your state has opted to use this year. All right, so just jumping in here, for this question, or for these questions around person-centered planning, it is so important to start off by giving a bit of an introduction about what this section is, and really specifically talking about the service plan, giving a bit of a definition. You may have some state-specific language that's helpful for the person to better understand what we're asking about here, so it could be called the plan of care, an ISP, or something else. But really it talks about the services and supports the person may need, and how best these services and supports can support the individual to reach various goals. And so again, you'll just want to use or take a bit of time and use your knowledge about the service system to really inform how you kind of introduce this section to the individual. Once you get through just kind of this introductory piece, we're going to ask this first question: how involved are you in making decisions about your service plan or plan of care and the goals you want for your life? So again, here that piece on service plan or plan of care, please do substitute whatever is your state-specific terminology or the terminology that the person would best understand here. Also know that this is a rather complex question, how involved are you? And so you might want to try and help the person better understand what we mean by asking things like, were you able to take part in the meeting? Did you talk about the services and supports you want? What would help you reach your goals? If the person does not feel that they were involved at all in making these decisions, you're going to skip all the way down to the question 9 that we have in this section. Otherwise, we're going to go on and ask a little bit about the service planning meeting. And so again, here, you'll want to be able to take a minute and talk about that planning meeting, making sure that the person knows what you're talking about, and try and find out if the person remembers that planning meeting, so that question 2. So for those who do remember the meeting, we're going to ask whether the time and location of the meeting was convenient to the individual. So this could be that the person got to choose the time and place. It may not be that the person got to choose the time and place, but that the time and place that was chosen for the individual really worked well for their schedule, for their mode of transportation, that they were able to get there easily. We ask whether the meeting included the people that the individual wanted there. And then question 6, as your service plan was discussed during the meeting, did you feel that your preferences and needs were being heard? So this is another question that's a bit longer. It's a little more complex, and it might take a little bit of breaking down for people. So just thinking again about the service plan, what were those types of services and supports that were discussed? And if there are things that you wanted, do you feel that people really listened to you? Were things adjusted in the service plan perhaps based off of what you wanted? For this here, you're going to go ahead and read the response options so you feel that you're completely, mostly, somewhat, or very little heard, or not heard at all. And then we're going to ask a couple of questions about the service plan that resulted as a part of that planning meeting. So the current service plan that the individual has. So did you receive a copy of the plan after the meeting? And this could be either a paper or an electronic copy. And did the plan include what was discussed at the meeting? And so again, this is why a little bit of introduction for the section is helpful, where maybe you could have discussed some of the things that maybe are in the service plan, or what the person maybe talked about as part of the plan. And you can use that to help ask these additional questions. So question 9, this is the one that if the person does not remember their service plan or their meeting, where we jump over and ask this to everybody, are your preferences and choices reflected in your service plan? If they don't remember, you have that don't know option. And do the care supports and services you receive help you live a better life, so a life that you want? And then we have that last question, which is just that sort of wrap up to the survey. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me that wasn't discussed? And here is where you would either move on to ask a couple of questions in the demographics and background information section, or you wrap up the survey entirely with the individual. And so that takes us to the end of the person-centered module. You have just one more left where we'll talk about proxy respondents and some best practices for conducting the NCI AD surveys. Thank you for listening.